Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning into the video. My name is Sam at Gunpowder Creek Gunworks, and today I'm going to be going over a common problem with the AR-15 platform. So I get a lot of customers that come in complaining essentially that they're having a failure to feed and also a failure to eject. Now, upon further examination of the parts, not seeing any worn parts like a worn ejector or worn extractor, because a lot of people do get mixed up when talking about a failure to extract and a failure to eject. But this problem is going to be from a loose gas block or a gas block that is not aligned. Now, you may think, okay, my firearm is brand new. Why is it doing this? There's no way that my gas block can be loose. And as a matter of fact, I've actually seen a couple brand new AR-15s that had a gas block that was just a little loose. Now, if you can notice here, I'm going to try to put it in a little bit closer to the camera so you can see, but it has a little bit of play. And I think, yeah, the video is definitely catching that. So what that transitions to is you have a tiny hole in the top of your barrel. You also have a tiny hole that is a passageway leading from straight vertical from the barrel inside the gas block, channeling the gas from your spent cartridge back into the gas tube and downwards on top of the bolt to cycle your action, and also rearwards too. Now, as you can see here, I think you can even hear it too. I can hear it. The customer stated that they were having a failure to feed essentially every round. Upon test firing it, I had the same issue. I could get off about 3 rounds before I would experience a failure to feed, and it was always very consistent as far as when it would catch the round and kind of crimp it, and it was about halfway up the casing and squishing against the feed lips there inside the AR. Now, I'm going to go ahead and screw this into the vise here. And since that's loose, go ahead and get our T-handle, and I'm going to back out all the screws, or set screws I should say. Now, what's weird is this one actually has 4 set screws. Most of the time I'll only see 2 set screws. Normally they're both on the bottom of the gas block, and on your barrel there will be a dimple closest to the shoulder right here on your barrel where the gas block sits. And a lot of guys that build AR-15 seem to think that when they put their gas block on, they don't truly align it. They just slide it on all the way up against that shoulder here. Now, from what I've experienced at least, normally if you line up your gas block on your barrel correctly, there's a very small gap in between the gas block itself and the shoulder there on your barrel. Most of the time it's just about as thin as a piece of paper, but enough to let light through that you can see. So again, I'm going to continue taking these set screws out, and I believe they're all the same size, but we'll lay them down in order. That way they go back into the same hole. And so it looks like this one is dimpled slightly. We'll get all the set screws out. Yeah, but it's weird is this one does have the 4 set screws, and the final 2 set screws come in at a 45-degree angle at both sides on bottom of the gas block, which is very neat. And honestly, I wish more gas blocks had that, just because that's about double the retention on there. Because these set screws, you see, they're very tiny and they only have a couple threads on them. Now we'll see here. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and slide that gas block with me there. So there's actually no dimple for any of the set screws. So I have the gas block and tube removed out of its stationary position. And I will go ahead and get a rag here. Clean that portion of the gas tube. Get all that carbon off. And we'll go ahead and wipe that area where the gas block sits. Remove it from the vise here. We'll flip it over. And if you notice, there's that hole I was talking about earlier. So you see how small it is. I have a little cleaning swab here, almost like a Q-tip. But you can see if I try to put the end of that in there, it doesn't even fit all the way through. So I'm going to take a little bit of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and get that carbon off, and it'll also decrease it a little bit. Thanks for being patient with me. I have quite a large shop, and for some reason my rubbing alcohol was on the other side. So I'll try to do this on camera as well. You can kind of see the carbon that's built up around there. Just go ahead. I like rubbing alcohol because it removes the carbon. And I've already cleaned this firearm except for these spots right here underneath the gas block and that little bit of end on the gas tube. Because I'm sure, as you guys know, it's pretty hard to clean up the end of that gas tube when it's inside the upper receiver. So we'll wipe all that area down. And then we'll try to get the inside surface of the gas block as well real fast. Now I'm not going to bring it all the way off just for the sake of the video. Go ahead and lay that down. Yeah, but as you can see, that hole is very small, and the hole that allows the gas to pass through the top of the gas block is even small as well. Just about the same size. It's a little bit bigger at the throat. Here, and just so you can see here as well, there's a couple marks made by the set screws. As you can see, the two primary ones there at the 6 o'clock position on the barrel, and then also those two, which is I think a nice touch. Obviously it didn't do too much in terms of this firearm because that gas block is loose, and the customer stated that they bought it brand new, at least they thought, and they've only put about 150 rounds through it. So loose gas block. Let's see here, I'll go ahead and line that back up. And so there is a very small dimple, which we will line the gas block up with. There we are. Snapped into position. Okay. Just so you see. There we are. So again, if you look inside that hole there, you can see a tiny dimple. With these set screws, I don't have any on me. Normally I go ahead and replace them out with knurled set screws. So the knurled set screws, on the base of that, it's very smooth on this one, and most factory set screws for the gas blocks. The knurled ones have little teeth on the bottom of it, which really grab the barrel nice and tend not to loosen themselves up as easy. Go ahead and put that back in the vise now. Okay, and I want to show you guys something. I have a thin sticker here, and I lined up the gas block with the barrel. And if you'll pay attention to what I said before, I was trying to mention that you're not supposed to snug the gas block up against the shoulder of the barrel right here. because again, normally those holes aren't quite lined up like they need to be. They're just a little bit past each other. So as I got it lined up, I'm actually looking to see if light passes through, and I can stick that through. So like I was saying before, it's really about the width of like a piece of paper, and I can slide that, through. And I'll show a little bit closer here. If you notice, and no, I'm not sponsored by Veridian. If you notice there, just a little bit of a gap, and that's what we want. So got that lined up. I like to position the first set screw into the hole that has the dimple. That way, as you see there, as you're putting it in, it can drift a little bit. But once you put in that first one and torque it down just a little bit, we got it to move again. Another reason why I like to do this set screw first. I think we're going to be okay this time. Yeah, there we go. Alright, and I managed not to bump it. Okay, so I got that one in. We'll go ahead and proceed with the rest of the set screws, and as I said before, they tend to be the same size. I haven't come across any that haven't been the same size. And if you have your AR already apart and you're trying to do this at home or wherever, pause and get yourself some knurled set screws. Now, I mentioned it to the customer, asked them if they wanted me to order some. They stated that they did not mind, and they didn't quite deem it necessary, but that's okay. Just snug that up. And I'm just snugging up the final set screws at the 45-degree angle. We'll go ahead and snug all of them up since they're all in position. Okay. See if it's lined up, and before you guys get started, I will put a little bit of blue Loctite on those. I just want to make sure that they are lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and put the air compressor to that, and I take just a little bit. Again, I love rubbing alcohol. I have a lot of uses for it. What I do is I put a little bit of rubbing alcohol inside of the gas tube there. I have it on stream mode. Now, I'm going to take my air compressor to it, and I'm going to see if I can blow all of that through and try to watch it come out the top of the barrel and out the end of the muzzle. Now, unfortunately, I can't really show that part on camera, but that would be my next step. So as I'm sure that this is lined up, I'm going to go ahead and blue Loctite that and check it later. Now, again, however you do it, it's up to you, but I like to get all the set screws in there, crank them down just a little bit, hand tighten them, and then I'll take one at a time out and throw a little bit of Loctite on there. just a little bit goes a long way. I'm not sure if the camera will quite be able to pick that up. And again, on something like this, blue Loctite, I don't really recommend red in case you go to test fire and you still have a little bit of issues because it's not quite lined up. Again, there's a couple methods out there. I tend to like the alcohol method. Just put just a little bit of alcohol inside of that gas tube, just a drop or two, and then try to watch through the barrel as you take a air compressor nozzle and push that out through the gas tube, and then again through here all the way in here. Okay, and then I'll see it shoot out the barrel, or it'll probably come up here and stay, and then I'll just run a bore snake or a swab through. And you also, if you can, you always want to try to test fire, especially if you're working on something, and try not to just immediately throw it in the safe. Check your work, make sure. Okay, just hand tighten up. And as I said before, with the first set screw that goes in being the one that has the dimple, that will be the last one that I Loctite. Alright, here's the final one. So another method to lining up your gas block. You can take a toothpick and you can put it inside of your gas block once you remove it all the way off the barrel, and of course, remove your muzzle device. Take the gas block with it sitting upside down just like this. Drop a broken piece of toothpick off in the top of it. Go ahead and slide that back on. Screw your set screws down. Take the fire, or the upper at least, not the firearm. Flip it over, and you should be able to look through the muzzle and be able to see a broken piece of toothpick sitting inside of the bore, which that is my last resort. If at first I put a little alcohol through and test fire, if that does not work, then of course I always resort to the toothpick method. It's never let me down. It's just a little bit of a pain in the butt. Alrighty. And so that's primarily it for today's video. Again, just trying to show you guys a very common issue when you're having a failure to feed or a failure to eject. Like if your round is still somewhat in, your casing is still somewhat in the chamber, but it hasn't quite pulled it back far enough to strip it and then hence feed the next round in, then you want to look at your gas block. And if you notice now, no sound, no play. And another thing I do is it's not quite an exact measurement, is if you look through the top, you should see the 4-leaf clover for the cutout of the gas tube in the upper receiver. And if you look through that, your top of your gas block should line up in the center of the 4-leaf. And you can see if it's leaning one way or the other. Now, before I started this, because it's really hard to show and you can't really see it like through the video, You really just see the end of the gas tube. You can't really see the gas block. But when you do this at home or wherever you do this, just try to look through there. And I noticed before I even started, that gas block, the top of it was just a little bit off. And of course, as you saw from the first of the video, there was play. The set screws, some of them had to come loose. There was play, and it was to the point where it was making a noise. But now no noise, no play. And I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of that assembled here. I'll show you the rest of the firearm. We'll get the rest of this assembled here. And most of these parts are just mil-spec. And I will follow up with an update. Again, my name is Sam. This is Gunpowder Creek Gunworks. Thanks for watching.